There are moments in this world, mysteries hidden in plain sight, when the veil between the natural and the supernatural is lifted. And what if I told you the very air within your home might be carrying the wings of heaven, that the stillness in the room may not be silence, but a presence? That the flicker of the candle, the whisper of wind through the curtain, the sudden peace in your soul, might not be chance, but divine visitation? There are moments in your life, quiet moments, when something shifts in the air around you. You feel it, though you cannot name it. It's as if time pauses, as if the world holds its breath, as if the walls of your home themselves are no longer made of brick and stone, but of something eternal. There is no wind, and yet there's movement. No sound, and yet there's a presence. A sacred stillness. That stillness is not of this world. You walk through the house and realize that something is different. The chaos is gone. The fear that gripped you the night before is broken. The weight that hung in the air like fog has lifted. And what remains is peace, a thick, tangible peace. But this is not the peace that comes from circumstance. It's not because your problems disappeared. It's not because the world suddenly fixed itself. No, this peace is deeper, higher, ancient. It is the atmosphere of heaven, and it is the first sign that the angels of God are present in your home. The angels don't always appear in glory. They don't always speak in thundering voices. They often come quietly. They slip into the natural from the supernatural, and they leave a trail behind them like a fragrance, like a warmth, like a stillness that awakens your spirit. You may have been battling something, fear, anxiety, doubt. You may have felt the heaviness of the times, the confusion of the world. But suddenly your heart is calm, your mind still, the war silenced. It is not chance. It is not coincidence. It is not merely a mood. It is a visitation. For when the messengers of God enter a space, they bring with them the peace of the throne room. They have stood before the Ancient of Days. They have beheld his glory, and they carry the scent of his presence on their wings. The atmosphere changes because heaven has drawn near. Your living room becomes a sanctuary, your kitchen a holy place. Your bedroom a tabernacle. The mundane becomes sacred. The earthly is kissed by the divine. The very ground beneath your feet whispers, "Take off your shoes, for this is holy ground." You may think your home is too ordinary for angels, too cluttered, too noisy, too broken, but remember, they came to shepherds on a hillside. They came to a peasant girl in a village. They came to a prison cell, to a wilderness cave, to a tomb. The angels of God are not deterred by dust, nor frightened by darkness. They are drawn to those who cry out for the presence of the Most High. If you have ever prayed in that home, if you've ever worshipped in secret, wept in the night, whispered the name above all names in desperation, then know this: your house has been marked, your prayers have risen like incense, your cries have been heard, and the hosts of heaven are not far away. So when you sense that holy stillness, do not rush past it. Don't drown it out with noise or distraction. Stop, listen, breathe. The Spirit of God may be hovering. The messengers of heaven may be stationed at your door. Your home may have become a dwelling place for the divine. It is no longer just a shelter from the rain. It is now a gate of heaven. Let your home become the upper room. Let it become the place where angels ascend and descend. Let it become the place where fear is cast out, where healing is released, where light overcomes the darkness. And when that sacred stillness returns, don't ask why. Just fall to your knees, because heaven has entered your home. And the angels are near. There are things in this life that cannot be explained with logic. There are moments when the veil between this world and the next becomes so thin, so fragile, that something breaks through something from the eternal. One of those moments is when a fragrance fills the room. You didn't spray perfume. You didn't light a candle. The windows are shut, and there is no breeze, and yet there it is, the unmistakable scent, sweet, pure, otherworldly. It lingers in the air like a whisper from another realm. You search for a source, but there is none. Beloved, this is no ordinary smell. It is a signature of glory, the scent of heaven. In the days of old, incense was used in the tabernacle. But it wasn't just ritual, it was revelation. The incense represented the prayers of the saints, yes, but it also mirrored the atmosphere of the Most High. Heaven is not bland, heaven is not dry, it is alive with fragrance, the perfume of the presence of God. And those who dwell in that presence, his angels, carry that fragrance with them. When an angel enters your home, it may not come with trumpets or visions or thunder. It may come quietly, without form, without sound, but it will leave behind evidence, that fragrance, that sudden aroma of myrrh, of lilies, of oils not poured, is not random. It is a trace, a remnant of divine visitation. The world has its smells, smoke, decay, pollution, but heaven. Heaven smells like purity, like sanctity, like holiness, and when that scent enters your home, even for a moment, the atmosphere shifts. Your spirit awakens, you feel something deep within you stir, something ancient, something eternal. You remember a time when you prayed with tears, when you cried out in the night, when you laid your burdens down and begged for a sign, and now this fragrance. It's as if heaven answered, not with a voice, but with a scent. You may think it's small, you may try to reason it away. But stop, be still, let your soul recognize what your mind cannot comprehend. The angels of the Lord are not bound by human logic. They leave marks, signs, trails, and this is one of them. The fragrance that comes out of nowhere is not from nowhere. It's from the throne. There are stories, ancient stories of saints who, upon encountering the divine, smelled fragrances they could not explain. Lilies blooming in the dead of winter, oil where no bottle had been broken. The same signs appear even now. In homes of the humble, in places of prayer, in the quiet corners where hearts cry out to God in secret. And what is the message in the fragrance? It is this: you are not alone. The heavens have heard, and heaven has come near. The angels do not come to bring attention to themselves. They come to point to the one who sent them. The scent they leave behind is not just theirs. It is his. It is the fragrance of his glory. It is the sweetness of his love. It is the sign that he has sent his messengers to minister, to protect, to speak, or simply to dwell in the space you call home. So when that aroma arises, when that mystery lingers in the air, pause. Don't dismiss it. Don't rush past it. Instead, fall into worship. Light a candle of praise in your heart. Whisper the name of the Holy One. Because heaven has touched earth, because the invisible has left its mark on the visible, because the fragrance in your room may be the wings of angels brushing against the air. Let your home become a house of incense. Let your soul become a temple. For if the angels have come, it means you are not forgotten, not abandoned, not unseen. You are remembered by the Most High, and his messengers have left their fragrance at your door. Let it awaken you. Let it change you. Let it lead you to the one who is altogether lovely. There are moments when you look back and you say, that should have happened, but it didn't. You were late, and for some reason that delay saved your life. You took a different road, and a crash occurred on the one you usually travel. Your child was inches from danger, yet something intervened. It made no sense, no logical explanation, no human cause. But what if that something was not a thing, but a being? What if behind the interruption, behind the delay, the detour, the nudge, stood an angel of the Most High, assigned to guard you, to reroute you, to intercept the attack of the enemy? We live in a world of cause and effect, but there is another realm, unseen, more real than what we see with our eyes. And in that realm, angels move on assignment. They are warriors, they are watchers, they are guardians. And when you belong to the Lord, you do not walk alone. You think you're moving through life by your own steps, your own instincts, but there are moments when you are shielded, redirected, delayed. Not by accident, but by design. It's the missed flight that frustrated you until you found out what would have happened if you'd taken it. It's the forgotten keys that caused you to turn around just before tragedy struck where you would have been. You didn't see the danger, but he did, and he sent his angels to hold it back. There are spiritual assassins, traps set by the enemy that you never even saw. You didn't need to see them because they were dismantled before you got there, cancelled by heavenly warriors, diffused by angels standing watch over your home, your car, your child's school. You don't know how many times you've been protected because most of the time you never knew you were in danger. There's a reason you felt a sudden urge not to go. There's a reason you turned left instead of right. There's a reason your child said, "Let's stay home today." The reasons may not make sense in the natural, but in the supernatural it was a divine interruption, a holy rerouting, the voice of a guardian who doesn't speak with words, but with movements, promptings, inner stirrings. The angel may not appear in shining robes. He may not speak in a voice of thunder. He may never be seen at all. But he is there, not by your command, but by the command of the one who calls you his own. For when you are his, he appoints his messengers over you. And they don't sleep, they don't blink, they don't break their post. You weren't lucky, you were covered, you weren't clever, you were protected, you weren't just in the right place at the right time. No. You were kept by the arm of the unseen, you were hidden in the shadow of wings. We walk blindly through a battlefield, but heaven sees every ambush, every arrow, every pit. And heaven sends angels to block the strike, to close the pit, to stand between you and destruction. Sometimes the enemy gets close. You feel the brush of fear, the whisper of dread, but it doesn't touch you. It passes, and you don't realize that's because a sword of fire stood between it and you. The interruption you thought was a burden was actually a blessing in disguise. So when life throws off your plans, don't just complain. Ask heaven, was this your hand? Was this the movement of the unseen? Was this the interception of angels? Because it just might have been. And when you realize it, when you discern the hand of heaven in the chaos of earth, fall on your knees in gratitude. Worship the God who sent his messengers. Praise the one who saw the danger before you ever knew it was there. You didn't just avoid trouble. Trouble was stopped from reaching you, and the proof is in the divine interruption. There is a mystery hidden in the voice of a child, a mystery that speaks louder than sermons, a truth wrapped in innocence, a whisper from eternity spoken through the lips of the smallest among us. The child sees what the adult has forgotten, hears what the world has silenced, believes what time has buried beneath logic and fear, and it is in this, the mystery of the child, that the angels often make themselves known. You're washing the dishes, you're thinking about the bills, the errands, the chaos of life, and suddenly your child walks in and says, "Mom, there was a man in white standing near the door." Or, "I saw someone glowing," or perhaps they simply say, "He made me feel happy," pointing to an empty corner of the room. And your first reaction, you smile politely, maybe laugh, maybe say, "That's just your imagination." But what if it wasn't? What if it wasn't imagination at all, but revelation? For the child's eyes are not yet dulled, their spirit not yet numbed, their heart not yet buried beneath the weight of the world, and so they see the veil that keeps the visible separated from the invisible. It's thin for them. It has not yet been pulled tight by cynicism. The supernatural is not strange to them, it's natural. And when angels enter the home, it is often the children who notice first. You see, the messengers of heaven don't always announce themselves with trumpet blasts. They don't always descend in fire. Sometimes they stand quietly near the crib. Sometimes they fill the corners of a child's room with peace. Sometimes they whisper without words, and the child laughs with no reason. Sometimes the child looks upward, not at the ceiling but beyond it, and smiles. This is no fantasy. This is heaven. And yet the tragedy is this. We teach them to unsee. We silence the prophetic voice in their purity. We call it make-believe. We pull them away from the wonder, the awe, the vision, and in doing so, we blind ourselves even more. But what if we listened instead? What if when they said, "Someone is here," we asked, "What did you feel? What did you see?" What if, instead of brushing it off, we fell to our knees in holy fear, realizing that the very atmosphere of our homes had been touched by the divine? You may think angels only come to prophets, or to saints, or to holy places, but the angel of the Lord came to a young girl in a village, to a boy in a temple, to a baby in a manger. The pattern of heaven is not status but purity, and purity still resides in the child. It's not just the visions either. Sometimes it's their prayers. A child begins to pray with words you never taught them. They speak peace into a home that's been filled with tension. They say, "Don't be afraid, Mommy, he's here." And you feel the tears well up, not because you understand it, but because your spirit recognizes it. Your child may be speaking in the tongue of angels, and you didn't even know. What happens in the spiritual realm is not bound by age, and the child, unguarded, unwounded by years of doubt, becomes a vessel, a seer, a mouthpiece, a living witness of the invisible. So do not silence them. Listen, honor the mystery. Create an altar in your home by honoring the voice of heaven that speaks through your child. Bless them when they dream. Ask when they speak of strange peace or glowing light. They are not lying. They are not lost. They are closer to the throne than we remember how to be. And maybe, just maybe, the child is not the one who needs to grow up. Maybe we are the ones who need to return to the vision, to the wonder, to the awe, to the place where angels walk and children still see them. It begins in a moment, a quiet one. You're not in church. There's no worship team, no preacher, no music. No altar. You're in your home doing something ordinary, washing the dishes, folding laundry, sitting on the edge of your bed. And suddenly something shifts. A stirring begins. You feel it, not in your body, but deeper, a trembling in your spirit, a tug at your soul, a whisper in the silence. You don't know why, but tears begin to form, your heart begins to rise. You feel the need to kneel, to lift your hands, to open your mouth and worship. Where did it come from? Why now? Why here? There's no logic in it. No formula, just the sacred, that stirring beloved, that sudden holy pull toward worship. It is not your doing. It is not a mood. It is not emotion. It is not chemical. It is a response to the supernatural. It is the sign of divine presence. It is the echo of heaven moving through the walls of your home, and it often means the angels are near. For you were not made to manufacture worship. You were made to respond to glory. And when the messengers of God enter a space, they don't come empty. They bring with them the radiance of the one they serve. They carry his presence. They stir the air. They disturb the natural, and your spirit, whether you know it or not, feels it, reacts to it, cries out in worship. It's not the first time, is it? You've had these moments before. You were driving, and suddenly tears filled your eyes. You were sweeping the floor, and a song rose from within. You were standing in the shower, and you felt like falling on your face. It wasn't the song, it wasn't the lighting, it wasn't your thoughts, it was the nearness of God, and when he draws near, the angels gather. They do not point to themselves. They are not the destination. They are the escort, the heralds, the ones who prepare the way. And when they come, they prepare the atmosphere for worship. They fill the unseen with holiness. They stir the heavens to pour into earth. And your soul, created to commune with the eternal, begins to respond. That's why you felt what you felt. That's why your heart burned within you. That's why your hands lifted without effort, because heaven had entered the room. And heaven calls for worship. Don't ignore it. Don't brush it aside. Don't reason it away. When the sacred stirring comes, follow it. Stop what you're doing. Sit down if you have to. Bow if you must. Let your tears fall. Let your voice rise. Turn your living room into a sanctuary, your kitchen into an altar. The angels are not bound to temples made with hands. They move where the Spirit moves, and where the Spirit stirs worship, the angels draw near. It may have been a moment meant just for you. A divine appointment, a window in time, a heavenly visitation, but you must choose to respond. You may think your worship is weak, your house too noisy, your words too broken. But the angels are not drawn to perfection. They are drawn to purity, to hearts that respond, to souls that rise. The sacred stirring is not something to take lightly. It is the voice of the Spirit awakening your spirit. It is a summons and invitation, a trumpet call to fall on your face before the Holy One. Don't wait for Sunday. Don't wait for a church service. Let your worship begin in the place where it first stirred, in your home. Because when that sacred stirring comes, it is not just you who is present. It is the whisper of wings, the breath of the Spirit, the presence of the Almighty, and the only proper response is worship. There comes a moment in your life when something strikes your spirit, something unexpected, unexplainable. You open a book, and a line leaps off the page. You turn on a message, and the words seem to be aimed directly at your soul. You think of a question, and the answer appears before you can speak it aloud. You feel a whisper deep within that says, "Go this way, not that. This is not your imagination." It's not coincidence, it's not just timing, no. It is the voice of heaven breaking through the veil of the natural. And very often, it is the evidence that the messengers of God have been dispatched. For the word angel does not mean winged creature or glowing figure. It means messenger, one who comes bearing a word, a voice from the throne, a communication from the eternal to the temporal. And when you receive that word out of nowhere, but exactly when you needed it, that is the sign, an angel has been near. It doesn't always come with thunder. Sometimes it's a still small voice in your spirit. Sometimes it's a scripture that burns in your soul. Sometimes it's a dream in the middle of the night that refuses to leave you, a face you see, a name that keeps coming. A warning, a comfort, a confirmation. This is the language of the invisible realm. And while the world calls it strange, the spirit within you knows better. Because heaven doesn't speak in noise, it speaks in precision. In the moment you are about to give up, you hear, "Do not be afraid." In the very hour of your confusion, the message comes, "This is the way, walk in it." It is the divine fingerprint evidence that God has not only seen your situation, but has sent His word into it. And His word does not travel alone. It is carried by the wings of messengers, by angels assigned to you not to entertain, but to deliver. Not to be seen, but to ensure that you see the one who sent them. You ask, "Lord, give me a sign." And then the sign comes, a phrase repeated 3 times, a stranger's words echoing your secret prayer, a door that opens before you even knock. That is not randomness. That is alignment. That is heaven intersecting with earth. The message may come softly, but its impact is holy. It pierces through fear. It calms the storm. It ignites the flame again. And though you may not see the angel who brought it, you feel the fire of the message burn within your bones. Because when God sends His word, He often sends His angels to carry it. And your home, your ordinary space, becomes a chamber of divine communication. The kitchen becomes a mountaintop, the hallway a burning bush, the bedroom a sacred place of hearing. Don't dismiss those moments. Don't call them random. When something confirms what your spirit already felt. When the impossible lines up with your prayers, when the message arrives from 3 directions in 3 ways at just the right time, that is not chance. It is visitation, and with every visitation comes a decision. Will you ignore it, or will you bow before it? Will you question it, or will you step into it? You prayed for guidance, and He sent it. You asked for confirmation, and it arrived. You cried out for a sign, and it was spoken over you. The angels of the Lord do not come to decorate your home. They come to deliver. And when they do, they don't leave empty. They leave behind the mark of the message. So when your soul trembles, when the scripture cuts through the noise, when the word confirms the path, stop everything, fall to your knees. For heaven has spoken, and the angels were near.